Billions of dollars worth of goods and services change hands every day around the world. Much of this commerce is governed by international agreements between countries that help ensure a framework for predictable, fair trade. If you're a U.S. exporter or investor who has encountered a trade barrier caused by a foreign government policy or procedure, these agreements can be effective tools for overcoming that barrier. This is the story of one such problem and how it was resolved with the help of specialists in the Trade Agreements Compliance Program of the U.S. Commerce Department's International Trade Administration, or ITA. Henrik Klingon and his father came to the United States in the late 1970s from Denmark to work as agents for a specialty refrigeration company in York, Pennsylvania. In 1984, they purchased the company, and Klingon Corporation was founded. Since that day, they have almost doubled their workforce to accommodate large foreign contracts. 85% of their business is from exports. Klingon Corporation had just won a multi-million-dollar contract with the Australian military to supply refrigerated containers and power generation equipment. Klingon planned to send these products to China to be mounted on containers and then ship them onward to Australia to fulfill the contract. But Klingon's products were held up in Chinese customs for reasons they did not understand.
These goods, even though we had shipped them in many, many times before, got held up, and we're sitting in customs for 1 week and then another week and then another week, and meanwhile we're going back and forward with our freight forwarder trying to understand, what is the issue that's come up. So there was quite a bit at stake with regard to all this. And primarily, though, the well-being of the company, the reputation of the company, and how in the future we might be seen to be able to handle these contracts.
We actually received a newsletter from the ITA which described their export assistance services and also provided instructions on how to report a trade barrier on the website. So I submitted the report on the website a couple months after we initially had our equipment held, and the same afternoon I heard back from Adam Boltic, who put us in touch with Brian O'Byrne.
When a company reports a problem, specialists in ITA's Trade Agreements Compliance Program investigate the issue and work directly with the affected industry to develop a strategy to eliminate the barrier and to ensure that U.S. rights provided by our trade agreements are protected.
What the Chinese were doing were misapplying a technical regulation and making it more trade restrictive than necessary. That falls under the WTO TBT agreement as problematic. So what we did is just simply remind them of those commitments and integrate that into the relationship. And usually when that happens, people remember, oh yeah, we did have an interest in this trade agreement, and we want to be known as a country that lives by its trade agreements.
How does ITA use the WTO framework to resolve current or potential trade problems U.S. industry experiences, such as this one?
I think there are two sides of the coin. First of all, we need to make sure that the laws and regulations on the books comply with the WTO requirement. And secondly, we need to look at in terms of implementation. Are rules and laws being implemented evenly?
The Trade Agreements Compliance Program uses many resources to resolve trade barriers, including government-to-government discussions, such as a roundtable, which includes the participation of business leaders. Brian O'Byrne was organizing a roundtable with China at the time and invited Henrik Klingon to participate.
In Ningbo, I met Brian O'Byrne as the head of the delegation that was there. So there was all hands on deck from the U.S. side.
We really valued that opportunity, and we kind of joked around here because we saw the list of attendees. I think it was maybe Dell, Microsoft, and then Klingon. So we felt pretty involved and valued at that point.
We leveraged these discussions, these bilateral discussions with the Chinese, and obtained a commitment from the Chinese authorities to work to resolve the issue. In the end, Klingon was able to fill its contract with the Australian government, so that barrier was eliminated.
I would advise small businesses to take advantage of the governmental resources that are out there, such as reporting a trade barrier, which was clearly a success for us. I think there is somewhat of fear if you're a small business, you're just not as important. So. So it was a surprise that we received all the support that we did.
The $8 million project that we had, everything has been moving very smoothly within that process. We really feel like that, as far as a direct business impact in terms of basically money in everybody's pocket here at the company, jobs for everybody, was the greatest takeaway.
In addition to challenges like the one you just saw get resolved, we can also help you with trade barriers such as these: intellectual property protection, import licensing, rules of origin, investment services, government procurement, and tariffs. Eliminating one barrier can open opportunities for a whole industry. Contact us to learn more about ITA's Trade Agreements Compliance Program, led by the Market Access and Compliance Unit.